The Rugby World Cup 2023, folks. Fiji and Australia 22-15 to Fiji. Rugby World Cup hopes still very much alive for them. And first loss for Australia to Fiji in like 60 plus years. Key events, stats and whatnot coming up for you guys. And yeah, do let us know your thoughts on this one. Pretty crazy game. No Will Skelton for this one for Australia. He was always in doubt according to the kind of pre-match press conferences, and didn't make the lineup, which was certainly a big blow. But yeah, this is a weird one where the Aussies actually outscored the Fijians, and it was a match won by the Fijian. Phenomenal work at the breakdown and some bloody good goal kicking from Koroibete rather than kind of flair. But anyway, as I said, we'll go through them and you guys let us know your thoughts. Great crowd. I mean, the crowd loves Fiji, don't they? So much. The crowd was just so far behind the Fijians, which is great to see, man. Like, I mean, the crowd's been doing that generally this World Cup. Whoever's the kind of underdog, they've been showing some love for them, but particularly for Fiji, which is really cool. I mean, there's a fair few Aussies there as well, getting behind their team, but yeah, they were kind of outnumbered in terms of the support. High tackle by Matavesi on Petaia early, and then another one by Tuisova. Means the Australians get an early chance to lead this one, 3 points to 0. Slot their only penalty of the game. But I mean, Fiji had a load of possession, and that led to their first points of the game when Arnold got pinged for not rolling away at the breakdown. So early kind of, Rugby World Cup match, important game, take your points. It makes sense, so 3 points apiece. Maui puts a huge tackle in on Carter Gordon. Carter Gordon had a kind of tough day at the office. He got absolutely smashed. And then Fiji, man, couple of penalties. One at the breakdown. One of them, Rob Valetini, penalty conceded at the breakdown, and Fiji take their first lead of the game, 6 points to 3. I should say Donaldson for Australia won a penalty at the breakdown as well in return on Radradra. So yeah, tentative stuff, which I guess is what you expect in a game like this. 50-22 though from Nick White. Leads to the first try of the game. Bit of turnover ball, which the crowd did not appreciate. I think Arnold in the tackle winning a weak turnover ball. Nick White, quick thinking, 50-22. And then smart play to just throw a quick line out. It was Kerevi taking a Nawaqanitawase, a quick line out throw, and then back to Nawaqanitawase. So try time Wallabies, kind of out of nowhere. Missed conversion, but then the old Wallabies are back in front. 8 points to 6. How's Fiji going to respond to going down? Well, I mean, pretty well, because Nick White, pretty soft, high tackle on Koroibete, more that he was trying to slap the ball out than anything. It was a kind of one of the lower impact TMO interventions we've seen. Like usually when the TMO is intervening at this World Cup, it seems to be yellow card, but this one was just a penalty. So yeah, eagle-eyed TMO on that one. That's when I wrote the note, man, the crowd is behind Fiji because they loved that moment. Fiji go back in front, 9.6. So the lead is chopping and changing. Very, very high tension game. Australia had their first kind of, I guess, 5-phase attack after about half an hour. And who's the man who stops them at the breakdown? It's Levani Botia. He wins multiple turnovers in this game. But I mean, just generally, the entire Fijian side can thank their breakdown work for the winning of this game, in my opinion. Then they doubled down Fiji by opting for another 3 after winning a more penalty. So, yeah, man, 12 points to 8. Fiji's lead starting to get pretty comfortable. And Australia is just getting worse, man. The discipline. There's 3 penalties conceded in a row. It's a high tackle, it's an offside, and then it's a more penalty. And you can feel like the momentum by this point, into first half, is entirely with Fiji. Are Fiji going to decide to kind of not let Australia get back into it? They're going to go for the jugular, maybe get a try and really push the lead out. Well, they go for it. They change tack because they can feel they're getting ascendancy at the maul, and the Aussies just can't stop conceding penalties. Maybe get them yellow carded. Why not? I would back them to go for it. They go for the touch finder 5-meter line out, but then Frost with a key line out steal. And if there's one area you look at for Fiji in this one and go, if you'd got this better, maybe your game would have gone better, or it's like a door that you left open for the Australians to get back into it, it was the line-out. And Australia's work at line-out time to disrupt the Fijian ball was pretty exemplary. So that's one thing that they'll take into their next game with a bit of confidence that they can disrupt in that area. So yeah, Frost with a line-out steal. The next Fijian line-out, still in Australia's 22, but not on the 5 metre line. They knock it on. So all that pressure that they've been building up has just been released. So Australia kind of get out of jail with that one. Half-time, run meters 162 to 206. Fiji edge it. Fiji's had more possession, 57%. More territory, though, to the Australians, 53%. Clean breaks is 1 apiece, so pretty tight. Defenders beaten is 16-8, so Fiji busting double the tackles, but penalties conceded 7-3. Australia on the wrong side of the ref's whistle. And Fiji this week, I mentioned it in the preview, their tackling stats weren't up to scratch. This week, halftime, 88%. Proper solid, whereas Australia, 78%, falling off too many. Second half, Wainingolo goes off for Fiji, which is a bit of bad news, but Habosi comes on. Great player to bring on, so you don't kind of lose too much by swapping those two guys out. And then there's a really bizarre try, which the Aussies concede, which they will look back on and be cursing this result. Like it was a gift. The one try that Fiji scores is not really a bit of Fijian magic. I mean, Tuisova finishes it. Credit to Tuisova. I'll chuck him in the thumbnail, man, because the guy was a unit. But it was soft from Australia. Like, it's just a box kick. It looks like Nawaqanitawase is going to go for it. And it looks like Gordon's going to go for it. Neither goes for it. It just bounces. So Tuisova doesn't need a second invitation. He grabs it and goes over for one of the easiest test tries he will ever score. Like, if you're an Australian fan, if you're Eddie Jones, man, you'll be very annoyed with the way that try was conceded. And it wasn't the only time they let the ball bounce either. Like, really, really schoolboy stuff. That one, very poor. And a great sideline conversion from Koroibete. So 19 points to 8. The scoreline is really starting to get away from the Australians with that one. But then there's an Australian line-out steal in Fijian half. Means maybe a chance, you know, for that line-out pressure to get the Aussies back on the front foot. But then they seemed determined to kick it behind the Fijian defence, but the kicking game just wasn't quite accurate enough. Like, Petaia gets it and just boots it dead. Like, wasted chance on turnover ball. And sadly for Fiji, Koroibete goes off around this point as well, early on in the second half. He seems to have picked up a knock. His goal kicking was beautiful to watch. It was pinpoint accurate. He goes off. They don't even trust Teddy Tela to do the goal kicking. They get Lamani to do goal kicking, and yeah, Lamani's boot is not the same as Koroibete's, sadly for Fiji. His first shot goes really quite wide, and it's a big let-off for Australia because they've been conceding a lot of points in a row, right? And then Carter Gordon gets subbed on 49 minutes. And yeah, as I said, didn't have the same impact that we would like to see him have on the game in terms of his ability to really run the ball and, you know, push defenders around the park. 51 minutes, Fiji had a chance when they stripped Kerevi. And their chance on turnover ball is also a bit of a let-off because they ended up just passing it into touch. So both sides, I think, letting each other off a little bit. Especially Fiji missing that penalty and then missing a seemingly good chance to genuinely threaten the Aussie line. It means the game still kind of remains in the balance. Lamani concedes a penalty on 55 minutes for being in front of the kicker. It's maybe, this like 55 minutes. First chance the Aussies have had in the Fijian half for a wee while. They go 8 phases. Breakdown penalty conceded. The Fijians win a turnover. Aussie scrum penalty. Maul chance in the Fijian half. Goes to some phases. Breakdown penalty. Fiji get themselves out of jail. Fiji lose a line out. Tuisova gives away a high tackle. Keep giving the Aussies chances, man. Tuisova wins a breakdown penalty to get himself back out of jail. Like, it's just such a common theme. Uelese knocks himself out on Ikanavere's hip, which is a bit of bad news. It was off the ball, so a penalty conceded, and that penalty they do slot. So it's 22 points to 8. That's the final scoring for Fiji. 2-try lead converted. Can Australia get themselves back in the game? Finally, yes. 67 minutes. They finally get something right. They finally don't get bloody turned over. 67 minutes, man. Maul advantage. Vunivalu with the pick and go after Porecki's had a go. And a clutch conversion from Ben Donaldson means it's 15 points for the Australians. 22 points for Fiji. Still all to play for. But yeah, that's the one time that Australia just was able to kind of go, I guess because it wasn't many phases. They didn't have the chance to get turned over. But yeah, the Fijian lineout continues to struggle, puts themselves under a lot of pressure. But for every line-out error, they've got a breakdown penalty to get themselves out of jail. Fiji had another crack through Nawaqanitawase at the death, but Marika Koroibete's tackle on Habosi kept them alive. And then a Fijian scrum penalty on 80 minutes meant that was going to be the game. They tried to opt for a 3 to take the losing bonus point away from the Australians, but yeah, they missed it. The ball luckily did go dead, otherwise it would have been another chance for the Aussies to run it back. But, yeah, they would have liked to take that losing bonus point away, but not to be. So, yeah, massive, massive victory for Fiji. Now, I do feel like Fiji put themselves under a lot of pressure at the end of that game. Their line-out work was pretty awful. They probably should have been able to close that game out. But having got through the game, that mental pressure of being in that must-win game maybe comes off a little bit. I think that got to them. But now that they've been through it, I think they'll be a better team for it. And now that pressure goes on to Australia for their next game. They're going to have to show that desperation that Fiji showed in this game and their game against Wales. Going to be fascinating. Run meters 384 to 401 to Fiji. Possession 51% Fiji, but territory 55% Australia. Clean breaks 2 to 3. Fiji with the one more. It's pretty tight. It's not real kind of open game. Defenders beaten 23-20 to Fiji. Again, pretty tight, but Fiji's tackling percentage 86%, man. Well done, Fiji. Much better than the last game. Way, way better. Australia 79%, not good enough. Penalties conceded 18-7. Australia not good enough in that department for sure. But their lineout was at least 16 from 16, whereas Fiji was 17 out of 23. That is the key work on for their next game. Individuals, Tuisova, 5 defenders beaten, a try, a clean break, 3 turnovers, 1. Big shift from him. Botia, 3 turnovers, 1. Big shift from him. Koroibete, 55 metres, but not kind of the impact that he would like in terms of ball in hand, but they couldn't build the phases. And then Valetini had 11 from 12 tackles, so a pretty solid defensive shift. But yeah, Australia's going to rue that try they conceded. And fingers crossed for Fiji that Voli's all right, because boy was his boot very, very important with 4 of those 5 penalties. Australia have got Wales next, which now becomes a huge game, just as big as this was for Fiji. It is for Australia. And then, yeah, Fiji have got Georgia, but not for a little while. Fiji got a little break between now and then. So, yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Sorry I sound a bit blocked up. I've still got a bit of a cold. And I'm trying to keep my voice down because the kids are still in bed. But yeah, I'm going to go watch England and Japan. South African fans, I haven't watched South Africa and Romania yet. I don't know the score, but I'm sure you guys won by a lot. I'll watch that game after I watched England and Japan. So if you're hankering for that review video, maybe go to bed and watch it in the morning. Anyway, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.